And then in the NFT space, it's been really just one thing that everyone's talking about, right? Like every single day, Pudgy Penguins seems to be higher. Pudgy Penguins is I'm just looking at it now on DGens, but we are looking at a 19th floor right now on Pudgy Penguins. Yesterday it was at, I think, 16. It's up nearly 90% on the week. I think it started a week ago, was just above 10 ETH. What's driving this is a little bit confusing, because I think some people are trying to claim there is something driving it, and some people are trying to claim that, you know, it's just the market realizing again that this is a much better business model than some of the other ones out there, and it's being rewarded. We even said at the start of the show, for our predictions for Pudgy Penguins, that it could go to this level, and it's done it already within, you know, a week. What do you think of them here? I saw someone just spent 50 ETH on three different gold Pudgies right as this show went.
Wow. Yeah, I think NFTs can often very much be a sentiment thing, and we saw what happened post Blur, but we've also saw sentiment crush many projects like Moonbirds and, you know, Yuga to an extent. But on the flip side, the sentiment in Pudgy Penguins world has been incredible. Like, I think Luca's basically gone out there and delivered on everything that he said he would, and they've nailed the like marketing and media coverage of it, and both the Web3 world and the traditional world. So it's just like, if you own a Pudgy Penguin, like, why would you really want to sell it? Why would you really want to sell it at any point last year, and why would you really want to sell it now? Because it just has always felt like the momentum on it is upwards and higher, and it always feels like there's more coming, and Luca's now kind of proven a track record of being able to deliver them as well. So you know, where do they go in price? Like, I don't know, like, could they go to 50th, 100th? Maybe. Like, I think for it to get to, you know, the crazy Yuga levels that we saw in 2021 and 2022, you would need to have a token probably come to just like turbocharge that. And remember, like, everyone talks about apes being 400k or 500k floor, but that was when you had the ApeCoin airdrop built in, which everyone knew would be a success. And I think for Pudgy to get to like a $500,000 floor, you would need to have some kind of like expectation of something like that to boost its value baked into the price. And maybe it can. Like, it sounds like they're building this whole Pudgy world thing. There's a whole ecosystem now, not just the original Pudgy Penguin NFTs. So everything like that is underpinned by, in this world, in crypto, is underpinned by a token. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's a direction they want to take, but there's obviously a lot of risks to assess, and giving a token value is one of the hardest things to do in the space, you know, like beyond just like the initial value and how do you keep it going. But yeah, we'll see. I think they will flip apes this year. I think they're on their way to doing it now, just maybe at a lower price than people originally expected. But where they go beyond there is going to be pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah, it does feel very highly likely they're about to flip apes. You obviously have, again, some of the big Blur farmers moving their liquidity to from apes to Pudgies. You have some big rare sales going through. Obviously, there's speculation around a token. I know they're like getting a random airdrop as well, the Dime airdrop, Dimension, I think it is. So people have been speculating that could be involved here, because that could be worth quite a lot. Because it's for all their zero users, and Pudgy Penguins have been involved with that project. So yeah, it's there's a few different things coming, but it just, I don't know, like, if I take a step back, I feel like they have the best business model in Web3 right now, right? Like, if everyone was to start at zero, I feel like they have done it the best. Maybe you could argue Mad Lads have shipping a lot of different things from a utility standpoint, but I would say that Pudgy Penguins have been the most successful in terms of building a brand IP, and, well, building commercialized brand. Whereas maybe everyone's heard of the Monkey JPEGs, but it hasn't necessarily continued in terms of commercial success. They've kind of stayed more gaming native, and people started big questions about like whether other side's going to be successful. There's been quite a lot of FUD around that recently. So it just feels like a surefire bet with Pudgy Penguins that they're doing a good job. I don't know if that lasts for like 10 years or anything like that. Like, it's very, very difficult to judge. These things can all change, but it does feel as though they've been a fairly obvious bet for a while. I don't know. I was thinking about tweeting about this just before the show, which was sometimes it's just so obvious, these bets. Like, I remember we were talking about ETH just before the ETF came, and I even was like, it just seems too obvious. Pudgy Penguins have been so obvious. It's something that I think I need to appreciate a little bit more in crypto, is just that the obvious trades often, they just happen. Like, the market is so inefficient and obvious at times because everyone's trying to degen on the next thing, like, so often, that actually just playing the obvious trade at the right time is just is the right way to go. Pudgy Penguins, they've been obvious since 5e, 4e, and yet they take a year to get to 20 ETH, and they're probably going to keep on going now. And they'll probably still be obvious, and we'll look back and be like, oh, why didn't you buy them then? And it's the same with a few like the coin narratives. They're just so obvious, and yet you don't pull the trigger. You go after something more degen, and you kind of look back and be like, well, I should have just played it safe with the obvious 4x rather than going for the unobvious 100x. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. It's things always feel more obvious in hindsight though than they do at the time. It's just like all of last year that
this is so obvious.
Yeah, I guess. But then I guess it's just like now we're in this paradigm. It's like it's not really like where can you make money. It's like which thing is going to make me the most money. That's where we're at right now. So,
in that vein, what do you think are the obvious trades? The obvious trades that people are not looking at. I feel like Pudgy Penguins in NFT space is probably one of the more obvious ones. Like, it probably could go much higher now, but it gets that dabbling good status to it. And golds are trading for 100 grand plus. Like, suddenly they can be picked up. Actually, I had like a full-on normie ask me about Pudgy Penguins the other day, and I was like, that's weird. That's the first time I've had somebody talk about an NFT brand that wasn't in the NFT space, and she had literally zero clue about NFT. She was like, oh, I've been talking to someone about like these penguins, and I was like, oh yeah, like, what do you mean? She's like, oh yeah, I really like them. They're on like Giphy or whatever. So it just feels as though they're going mainstream, and you just can't really, I don't know, you just can't really downplay that can keep going. And hopefully we see Pudgy Penguins continue going. It feels like they're on their way to have a fight with apes at around 24 or 25, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like, if you own a Pudgy right now, you're not selling, right? Like, you're just a bad guy if you're selling them, or bad girl. You don't sell at 19 when the difference is only 4 or 5 to Bored Apes. So yeah, that's we'll book that for next week.